That guitar with the famous logo, it might share a factory with the cheap one 3 feet away. Same worker, different label. Brands you think are rivals, secretly owned by the same company. Blind tests that quietly debunk what the salesperson just told you. We tracked down who really owns each guitar brand and what actually matters before you buy. These are the things you need to know before you buy a guitar. Number 10. The different brand, same factory secret. Walk into any guitar shop and you'll see dozens of logos on the wall. Squier, Epiphone, Ibanez, PRS SE, Washburn, LTD. It looks like real competition between real companies. Here's what most players never learn. A huge share of budget and mid-tier guitars come out of the same handful of Asian factories. Cortec, the company behind the Cort brand, has built instruments for Squier and for PRS SE, and for decades it built Ibanez guitars too. Samic's Indonesian factory, built back in '92, has shipped guitars branded Epiphone, Squier, Washburn, Hohner, and LTD, all off the same production floor. So when you compare a Squier next to an LTD and feel like you're weighing two different companies' craftsmanship, you might actually be comparing two products that rolled off the same production floor, just finished to different specs, with different pickups dropped in at the end of the line. This isn't a conspiracy anyone is hiding. It's just never explained to first-time buyers, so they assume every logo on the wall represents a completely separate workshop with its own philosophy. The logo tells you almost nothing about who physically built the guitar in your hands. And here's the twist: most players never look up. Number 9. The ownership web hiding behind the names. This goes deeper than factories. It's about who owns the brand itself. Fender Musical Instruments Corporation doesn't just make Fenders. It owns Squier outright, along with Jackson, Charvel, EVH, and Guild. Gretsch works differently. Fender doesn't own the brand, but it handles Gretsch's production and distribution under a long-running agreement with the Gretsch family. So, when you're standing in a store deciding between what look like competing options, you may actually be choosing between products from the same parent company's lineup, deliberately spread across different price points to catch every type of shopper, from the beginner to the working musician. That's not automatically a scandal. That's how brand portfolios work in almost every industry, from cars to cereal. But you deserve to know it before you pay a premium for choice that isn't really there. Next time you're torn between two brands at a store, it's worth a 30-second search to see who actually owns what you're looking at, because that alone can explain why two rival guitars share hardware, finishes, or even a catalog number. Number 8. The Tonewood Myth, Electric Edition. This is the debate that starts arguments in every guitar forum on the internet. On a solid body electric, the string vibrates. A pickup senses that vibration magnetically, and the signal runs straight to your amplifier. The body of the guitar barely radiates sound on its own, unlike an acoustic. A widely cited university test found that swapping the body wood made no measurable difference to the amplified tone once other variables were controlled. Plenty of experienced luthiers push back hard on that conclusion, and the honest answer is that the science still isn't fully settled either way. But here's what is settled. Your pickups, your strings, and your amplifier shape your tone far more reliably and far more audibly than the species of wood hiding under the finish. If a salesperson tells you a bodywood upgrade will transform your electric tone, that claim deserves real skepticism. Number 7. The Tonewood Myth, Acoustic Edition. Acoustic guitars tell a different story because the top is literally the piece of wood pushing the air you hear. A 2018 blind test study had experienced guitarists compare steel string guitars that differed only in the wood used for the back and sides, and the listeners could barely tell them apart. A separate long-running blind testing project found that guitarists correctly identified tropical versus non-tropical tone wood only about half the time, which is statistically no better than a coin flip. The takeaway isn't that wood doesn't matter at all on an acoustic. It's that the top matters far more than the back and sides ever will. And your ear, blindfolded, is a lot less reliable than your eyes staring at a fancy price tag and an exotic wood name. But wait, the next one is where the real money gets wasted. Before we get to the part that'll actually save you money, take a second to subscribe. It helps this reach the players who are about to make an expensive mistake. Let's keep going. Number 6. Solid top versus laminate, and the price line that actually matters. A solid top is cut from one piece of wood, and it genuinely improves in resonance and volume as it ages, the way players describe a guitar opening up. A laminate top is thin layers of wood glued together, and it will sound roughly the same on day one as it does 20 years later. Laminate-topped guitars typically start around $200 and run up to about $600. Solid-top guitars from major established brands usually start closer to $1,000. So, a laminate top just means a cheaper guitar, right? Not always. And here's the rule worth remembering when you're standing in a shop. If you find an acoustic guitar priced over $300 that still has a laminate top, treat that as a warning sign. At that price point, you should be getting a solid top for your money, and if you're not, you're paying for branding and a shiny finish, not for better sound. Number 5. Every new guitar needs a setup, expensive or not. Manufacturers ship enormous volumes of guitars fast, and factory setup work gets rushed no matter how big the name on the headstock is. Owners of guitars from major, well-respected brands regularly report the nut slots cut too low, or the action set far too high, straight out of the box, and it isn't limited to any one price tier. Players have described taking a brand new Les Paul style guitar straight from a big name maker to a tech because the nut was cut so low that basic chords choked out unplayed. A proper professional setup, adjusting the truss rod, the action, the nut, and leveling the frets if needed, typically runs $60 to $150 at a shop. Budget that cost into every guitar purchase you make, new or used, the same way you'd budget for tax. A $400 guitar with a genuinely great setup will play and feel better in your hands than an $800 guitar that's never once been touched by a qualified tech. Number 4. Fret buzz doesn't automatically mean the guitar is bad. This is exactly where showroom demos trick people into walking away from a perfectly good instrument, or buying a bad one that happened to sound fine that day. Fret buzz almost always comes down to one of 4 specific things: not enough neck relief, action set too low, nut slots cut too deep, or a single uneven fret. None of those are permanent flaws baked into the guitar. They're adjustments a tech can usually fix in minutes. If a guitar buzzes on the showroom floor, that alone isn't proof of a cheap build, and a guitar that doesn't buzz that day isn't automatically proof of great construction either. Learn to ask where on the neck the buzz happens, not just whether it happens, because that tells you if you're looking at a 5-minute fix or a real structural problem. But the next mistake is the one that quietly makes beginners quit for good. Number 3. Beware the ultra-cheap all-in-one bundle. You've seen them online and in big box stores. A guitar, a small amp, a strap, a cable, and a handful of picks, all in one box for well under $100. Some of these are genuinely fine first instruments for a beginner who just wants to try the hobby. Others are what experienced players bluntly call a guitar-shaped object, a name-only guitar with a neck that won't hold tuning, frets that were never properly leveled at the factory, and hardware that fails within months of light use. The danger isn't really the low price tag itself. It's that these bundles are rarely reviewed or actually played by anyone with experience before you commit to buying. Before ordering one sight unseen, look for real playing demonstrations from working guitarists, not just glossy marketplace photos and a 5-star average from people who may have never picked up a second guitar to compare it to. If a bundle guitar needs its very first setup before it can even hold a chord in tune, that's not a beginner-friendly instrument. That's a beginner-repelling one, and it's how a lot of new players quietly quit before they've had a real chance. Number 2. Brand price tiers exist to capture every type of shopper, not to reflect pure, consistent quality. The same company will happily sell you a budget line, a mid-tier line, and a premium line, often built in entirely different factories on different continents, priced specifically to match what different types of customers are willing to spend. That's not automatically deceptive on its own, but it does mean the jump in price between tiers doesn't always match an equal jump in build quality. Sometimes you are mostly paying for a Made in USA or Made in Japan stamp and a stronger warranty. Sometimes you're genuinely paying for better hardware, tighter fretwork, and stricter quality control at the factory. The only way to tell the difference is to compare the actual specification sheet between tiers, not just the price. And look at what changed: the tuners, the pickups, the fret wire, the finish. If none of that changed and the price still jumped by a few $100s, you're paying for a label, not a better instrument. Knowing which one you're actually getting for your money is the entire game, and almost nobody explains it to first-time buyers standing in a shop with 3 nearly identical-looking guitars in front of them. Number 1. What actually matters when you buy? Not the logo on the headstock, not the country of origin stamped inside the neck pocket, not whether the wood is technically solid if you're buying a solid-body electric where it barely matters anyway. What actually matters, does the neck feel right in your specific hands? Is the intonation accurate as you play up toward the higher frets? Are the frets level with no dead spots? Do the tuners actually hold pitch after a good bend? And can the pickups or electronics be swapped out later if you outgrow the stock ones? A guitar that plays easily and stays in tune will make you want to pick it up and practice far more than any exotic tone wood or famous logo ever will. That is the instrument that's actually worth your money, whether it costs $200 or $2,000. So, what should you actually do with everything you just learned? Play the guitar before you buy it, whenever that's realistically possible, and if you can't, find an independent, hands-on review from someone who actually gigs, not just a marketplace listing. Budget for a setup no matter how much you spend on the instrument itself, because that cost is real and it's not optional. Ignore the marketing tiers and check the fundamentals yourself. Neck feel, tuning stability, fret levelness, and whether the electronics are upgradable later if you outgrow them. 10 different brand names on 10 different headstocks doesn't mean 10 different factories, and a bigger price tag doesn't automatically mean a better built neck. The guitar industry isn't uniquely dishonest. It's a completely normal industry built on shared factories, brand portfolios, and price tiers, just like almost every other consumer product you buy. But now you know what's real craftsmanship and what's just clever packaging around a familiar name. And that's the difference between buying a guitar you'll play for years and one that ends up in a closet by spring. 10 brands, a handful of factories, price tags built on marketing. Amps and pedals are sold the same way. That's next. Subscribe so you don't miss it.